Hello, hello, hello. It appears that Kingdom in Context is my new Flurf muse. This is my fourth video on him in about a month. So what's the bet that he won't actually be able to rebut the content? So he'll resort to saying like I'm obsessed with him. Like he's made 4 videos about me, mummy. Anyway, just a quick reminder, Will Duffy and Sean Griffin debated the shape of the Earth a few days back on the Standing for Truth channel. Link is in the description as always. And then a couple of days after the debate, Sean actually jumped into a Flatzoid live stream where they were reviewing his quote-unquote performance. And Sean started talking about how the Aquarius constellation is seen every month of the year, which is technically true, but there is a period in late February and early March where you cannot see it. Like we know, that's what the globe predicts. But listening to him on Flatzoid's stream, his argument is actually much, much worse. So have a listen. It goes for about 42 seconds.
Well, what did I put up as my proof in my opening presentation for the Aquarius constellation, which is that can you see it every month of the year?
Every
Yes.
month, exactly. And it's
And
still
you
seen
can.
that month.
Even in these excerpts that from official astronomy publications, they're saying only from February 16th to March 21st. Well, guess what? That means there's a whole week at the end of March. There's a whole 2 weeks at the beginning of February that you can still see. And what's crazier than that is, from 6 months to 6 months in the year, you should not be able to see it. That's the whole point of the proof. Is that you're facing a different part of the universe.
Correct.
You shouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah, if you're looking this way and the star is behind you, how are you seeing it?
Yeah, so there we have it. Sean thinks, and Flatzoid heartily agrees, that Aquarius should not be visible for 6 months of the year. And I think this just betrays how most flat earthers just cannot handle really simple geometry. So what I did is make a really simple model in GeoGebra. So obviously we've got the sun, the Earth in its orbit, and then the stars. We'll call this the Aquarius constellation way off over here. And this blue line is the terminator line. So if an observer is at local midnight, then they can see this entire half of the sky. And yes, Flurfs, it clearly isn't to scale. It's just to illustrate a basic point. And I've got a slider here that controls the Earth's position in its orbit. So if I move that around, you'll see that this midnight observer sees a different part of the night sky throughout the year. And here it can now see Aquarius. All right, so let's stop it somewhere around, I don't know, November there. All right, now let's have an observer on the Earth. Now he can see all of this part of the sky. But have you Muppets ever heard of dawn or dusk? All right, so let's move this observer around. So he is still in darkness, but he's very close just after sunset. All right, so he cannot see the sun, but he can see Aquarius. Let's move him around back over to, say, late March. And we'll put him after sunrise. There we go. Sorry, before sunrise. So here we are, late March. He is on this side of the terminator line, but he's only just before sunrise. So he can see Aquarius. All right, so let's move it back to about here. Now there is at no point when it's dark for the observer can he see Aquarius when he's over here. So he can't see it here. And he can't see it around here. All right, so this is the only time when he cannot see it. And while I'm here, I'll address one of Sean's arguments that I left off the previous video. It refers back to a video that I think Taboo Conspiracy put out a couple of years ago, where a pilot is making a time lapse of the stars flying roughly north-northeast. So here's the clip from the debate. Sean had to rush through it, but it's enough to get the basic idea. One thing I want you to pay attention to is which area of the sky he points to with that big red arrow. All right, let's go.
upward star movements are missing completely. So this is a video taken by a pilot who took a trip from Brazil to Lisbon. So that's at a northeast direction. So according to globe math, the stars should look like this, should be coming up as he's going over the curvature. The stars in front of him should be coming up. This is actually modeled on Google Earth to show you what it should look like, but instead, the stars never move. So on his recorded flight, the stars never move. They don't come up. They just turn and rotate as the Bible describes. They never rise upward for the sake of the curvature of the earth. They're just circularly turning as the scriptures describe, specifically First Enoch. It's pretty amazing. So the observation of a 4,000-mile northeastern flight better matches what the Bible describes than what the heliocentric Big Bang cosmological model describes.
Bing, bing. All right, so I've grabbed a screenshot from the original 4K video, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. And I've just picked a fairly identifiable group of stars in the top left. If I was like an ancient Greek dude, I'd say it kind of looks like a bird with a massive wingspan. And here's another screenshot from 38 seconds later in the video with the same group of stars, which have hardly moved up or down. They've just rotated a bit. So, oh no, Sean's nailed us, obviously. Or perhaps Flurfs just can't grasp that there are two motions at play here. So the first one is a result of the plane traveling roughly north. So yes, the stars should start rising up from the horizon and moving upwards, kind of like this. Cool. And here's the second motion, where the observer is stationary on the Earth and the sky is rotating over the course of the night like this. Cool, cool. So what do you think happens to that star on the left when we combine those two motions? Now, apologies for the shitty animation. It's Microsoft PowerPoint. But watch what happens to the star on the left. It doesn't really go up or down relative to the frame. You ready? Cool. All right, so on the left, you've got the rotation bringing the star down, but you're traveling towards the pole which lifts it up. So they basically cancel out. But notice what happened to the other two stars. Obviously, the star at the center went straight upwards, but the star on the right basically went double speed. So I wonder if that's what's happening here. And it was incredibly easy to verify. So here's that screenshot at 29 seconds. And what I did is use what's called a plate solver to identify that big wingspan constellation thing in the top left. And from there, it's pretty easy to work out where the pole star is. And you can see Polaris there in the center of that red box. And the inset is a screenshot from Stellarium, just so you can verify that I've got the right stars. And here's that second screenshot from 107. Look where Polaris is now. So the big bird on the left hasn't really changed much, except that it's now rotated, while the pole star has risen in the frame considerably. As for the stars on the right, they aren't even the same stars. Like they've all gone upwards even faster off the top of the screen. And that's where I really have to ask the question, Sean, why were you pointing only at the stars in the top left corner? Did you not notice that the stars on the right were like whizzing up off the screen? Like there's no answer that looks good for you, bro. Just do better.